Honey, I know you've heard the rumors swirling around Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. But trust me, none of us were ready for the hot mess that went down on live TV. Not to mention the $400 million lawsuit that got both of them tangled up in ways that make your head spin. I'm talking drama on top of drama, like a shaky pyramid about to collapse in front of the entire world. With fans flipping out, Hollywood insiders sounding alarms, and social media setting itself on fire. You'd think these two would lay low and keep it cute. But oh no, sugar. They went and dug themselves into an even deeper hole. How did America's sweetheart couple go from relationship goals to lawsuit nightmares? Grab your popcorn, cause I'm spilling every last drop of tea. When Saturday Night Live decided to throw its 50th anniversary shindig, you'd think the spotlight would shine on comedy legends and iconic skits. Instead, Ryan Reynolds turned it into a cringe-worthy festival all about his personal drama. The man stepped on stage looking dapper in a sharp tux, but that confidence took a nosedive the moment he opened his mouth. He was asked a simple question, something harmless about how's it going? And he came back with so much sarcasm you could cut it with a knife. Why? What have you heard?
Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
The entire place went quiet for a hot second, and honey, that silence was louder than a marching band. Audience members broke out into nervous laughter, but not because it was funny. It was that we see you spiraling, but we don't know how to help kind of laugh. And poor Blake Lively, standing off to the side, looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. The tension in the room was thicker than gumbo, and folks weren't sure where to look or what to do with their hands. Ryan tried to lighten the mood by cracking some weird jokes about the old conehead costumes behind the scenes. Chilly, it just got more awkward. Even the SNL host gave him a "boy, are you serious?" stare before trudging along to the next topic. By then, everyone could tell this was the beginning of a meltdown in real time. Ryan was out here making the lawsuit drama with Justin Baldoni look like a stand-up routine, and that definitely didn't sit right with the audience. But that wasn't the whole story. Turns out, this was just the public tip of a much deeper iceberg. Because when we started digging behind the scenes, we found out that SNL fiasco was the last straw for some Hollywood insiders who'd had enough of Blake and Ryan's behind-the-curtain madness. So, let's rewind a bit to how this $400 million lawsuit even crawled out of the woodwork. Justin Baldoni, you might know him from his time directing and producing heartfelt projects, decided to adapt It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. People were excited for this flick, until the gossip mill claimed Blake Lively had practically hijacked the production. Hollywood had already been buzzing that Blake and Justin did not see eye to eye. Some folks said she was overshadowing the project with her own brand of controlling, while others argued Justin was a little too soft or idealistic for big studio politics. Either way, tension boiled over when Baldoni's team accused Blake of meddling in the final cut. Next thing you know, Baldoni slapped the couple with a massive lawsuit, claiming defamation, privacy invasion, and all kinds of shady dealings. Ryan's role in this drama was originally hush-hush, but his sarcasm-laced jabs? Oh, they gave him away. While he was busy throwing comedic shade at Justin on social media, and even within his Deadpool projects, the public was left wondering if there was more to the story than just petty jokes. And baby, more turned out to be an understatement. Because once Baldoni's lawyers got involved, receipts started flying around like confetti at Mardi Gras. Text messages, documents, behind-the-scenes interviews, everything pointed to a carefully orchestrated smear campaign targeting Justin. And what happened next would shock everyone. Baldoni claimed Ryan had been feeding the press information to prime the scandal before the lawsuit even dropped. Yes, sugar, the same Ryan who acts all easygoing and sweet in every interview. Allegedly, he was calling up major media outlets, setting the stage for Justin to look like the villain of the century. Now, let's dig into that adaptation. Colleen Hoover's book is a powerhouse about domestic turmoil and female resilience, so fans expected a respectful, empathetic take. Justin Baldoni had been attached to the project for years, working closely with Colleen to ensure the film would do justice to those sensitive themes. But from the moment Blake Lively hopped on board, whispers started swirling that she wanted everything done her way. At first, it seemed like normal celebrity demands, picky about costumes, wanting certain lines changed, pushing for extra screen time. But the deeper we go, the more we see it wasn't just innocent input. Crew members started leaking tales of bizarre restrictions. No one was allowed to look Blake in the eye. No staff member could approach her with questions unless it was cleared through someone higher up, and entire scenes were reportedly reshot to better showcase her vision. Then came the big scandal, the final cut. Allegedly, Justin had a version of the film that tested better with audiences, but that version never saw daylight. Blake made sure the studio used her edit. Baldoni tried to protest, but was locked out of the editing process altogether. People behind the scenes whispered that the original message of the book was drowning in Blake's vanity. It didn't end there. Baldoni's attempt to salvage the situation was promptly slapped down. Ryan apparently stepped in behind closed doors, telling executives that Justin needed to accept Blake's authority or bounce. So, Justin left, but he didn't leave quietly. He brought enough legal ammo to blow the lid off 1,000 celebrity feuds. He was done playing nice. Once the lawsuit was out in the open, the press had a field day, at least at first. Articles popped up out of nowhere painting Baldoni as a controlling nightmare, calling him an abusive director, or hinting that he might be the problem. But baby, that all backfired when Justin's team unveiled receipts. Turns out, big publications had been getting fed a curated version of events, some from hush-hush sources tied directly to Blake's PR folks. The texts, emails, and internal memos that leaked were like a soap opera script come to life. They showed how certain journalists were encouraged to spin the story in Blake's favor. One outlet even admitted to editing text messages before quoting them, all so they could make Justin look worse. Naturally, this fiasco lit up social media, with hashtag Team Baldoni and hashtag Team Blake stands going at it day and night. But the real fireworks started once regular folks, crew members, lesser-known industry voices, started stepping forward to share their personal stories about Blake. They described her as a control freak who snapped at staff, kept an iron grip on every production detail, and used heavy-handed tactics to get her way. The meltdown grew when Ryan's involvement in the shady PR moves was exposed. All those funny remarks turned out to be not so innocent after all. He had apparently been fueling the negative press behind the scenes, making sure Baldoni was labeled Hollywood's next big villain. Talk about a backfire. Because once those shady tactics were out in the open, fans of Ryan's comedic persona felt lied to, and major studios started seeing him as, well, a liability. Now, let's not forget Blake's America's sweetheart reputation, or at least what it used to be. For years, people fawned over her red carpet fashion, her witty banter in interviews, her seemingly perfect marriage to Ryan. But the illusions fell apart when a certain clip went viral. Let me remind you about that bump scandal that had the internet in flames. Blake was pregnant during the filming of It Ends With Us, and an entertainment reporter congratulated her on her baby bump. Seems innocent, right? Except Blake fired right back with, well, congrats on yours, basically implying this journalist, who was not pregnant, had a belly.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
Worse still, the poor reporter had previously opened up about her infertility struggles. Y'all, I don't know if Blake realized how messed up that moment was, but the internet sure did. And that's when the floodgates opened. More reporters emerged, sharing their experiences of how Blake would clap back with unnecessary rudeness whenever she felt the slightest bit disrespected. Soon, folks who'd worked with her on other productions described her as manipulative and easily offended. Allegedly, she used her A-list status to bully people into silence. No wonder the drama with Baldoni escalated so fast. He probably wasn't the first to push back, but he sure was the first with enough power to defend himself. But that wasn't all. Blake's old interviews started resurfacing, including one from her Gossip Girl days. In that clip, she openly admitted to poisoning the cast against Penn Badgley when she didn't approve of his casting. People used to wave that off as teenage pettiness. Now, it's looking more like an early sign of her controlling patterns. Baby, you know Hollywood loves drama, right up until it affects their bottom line. When the negative headlines started piling up against Blake and Ryan, it didn't take long for the invitations to dry up. Studios that once clamored for them to headline major films suddenly got real quiet. The big charity galas where Blake used to stun in couture, her name was mysteriously missing from the guest lists. Folks in the industry watched how the scandal played out like hawks. First, Blake's PR team tried to double down, painting Justin as a liar. Then Ryan's attempts at spin landed with a thud on SNL, prompting even more embarrassment. And let's not forget the swirling rumors that some hush money might have been offered to keep certain crew members quiet. None of it was confirmed, but that whisper campaign alone was enough to make potential collaborators nervous. Insiders claim that co-stars who'd previously sung Blake's praises, like her Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants crew, didn't exactly jump to her defense. Sure, a couple of them might have put out polite statements, but the tone was cautious at best. Even Colleen Hoover, the author behind It Ends With Us, expressed public confusion, then quietly stepped back without giving Blake any enthusiastic endorsements. But here's what had the gossip blogs in overdrive. Big names in Hollywood, from directors to producers, started blacklisting the couple behind closed doors. No one wanted to risk their next project turning into the same fiasco It Ends With Us had become. And as the saying goes in Tinseltown, reputation is everything. Once you lose that golden glow, climbing back up is an uphill battle, especially if you're dealing with a major legal mess. If you're thinking this circus can't get any messier, buckle up. Baldoni's lawsuit has grown tentacles: civil extortion, privacy invasion, even claims of abuse of power. The man is determined to clear his name and expose every last shady maneuver. People are also watching closely to see if Ryan gets dragged into a separate suit, thanks to that alleged behind-the-scenes meeting where he supposedly strong-armed studio executives to side with Blake. Studios see Ryan as someone who might turn a lighthearted press run into a humiliating fiasco, and that's not exactly the vibe executives pay for. Industry lawyers are floating the idea that a settlement might save everyone's faces, but Justin seems stubborn about letting the truth out in a courtroom. If he wins, oh girl, the victory lap alone will be legendary. He'll be known as the guy who stood up to a Hollywood power couple and won. But if Blake and Ryan manage to prove Justin defamed them, or if they push the narrative that he twisted facts for a money grab, it could shift the spotlight back onto him. In Hollywood, sometimes a single piece of evidence can turn the entire script upside down. Yet, from what's leaked so far, it's looking grim for the once glamorous duo. People behind the scenes say the couple is feeling the heat, and major deals that were practically set in stone have fallen apart. And what happened next would stun even the savviest PR watchers. More ex-employees started speaking up about NDAs, claiming they were pressured to keep quiet about Blake's or Ryan's questionable behavior on different sets. The legal pot is boiling over. We're talking about hush agreements, leaked text messages, and potential testimonies that could blow this case wide open. When you piece it all together, it's like a cautionary tale of what happens when too much star power meets too little accountability. Ryan Reynolds tried to laugh it off on SNL, but that debacle only dragged him further into the quicksand. Blake Lively, once cherished as the graceful queen of red carpets, is left fighting for her reputation, and possibly for her entire career, after crossing paths with Justin Baldoni's legal guns. Between the savage press takedowns, the humiliating on-set stories, and the endless swirl of rumors, it's safe to say the saga is far from over. They went from being one of Hollywood's most beloved couples to starring in an epic meltdown that gets uglier by the minute. Will they come out of it humbled and redeemed, or sink even deeper into scandal? Only time will tell, honey. But one thing's for sure, we've all learned that no celebrity image is bulletproof, especially when lawsuits, leaked receipts, and shady power plays start piling up. Thanks for supporting the Gossip Wire. If you made it this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more of the hottest celebrity news online.